Reginald here. Surprise! Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of expecting that we would only get, like, one rework. I didn't expect them to do the other two at the same time. So we are getting a rework of Zealot, Veteran, and Psyker in this patch, alongside a new set of weapons usable by all of them. I will say I'm pretty excited about this, so let's just get right into it. So first up, we're going to be discussing the new weapons. For Veteran, a new exclusive weapon, the Power Falchion. This thing is very much like the Relic Blade, and it is a lot of fun to use, and I really enjoy it. I think it's going to become a fan favorite for Veteran players very quickly. It is versatile, strong, and enjoyable to use. Also included is a new bolt pistol pattern, which is available to all 4 of the human classes, and a bolt gun, which is available to Veteran, Arbites, and Zealot. These bolt weapon patterns feature smaller magazines with larger explosion radiuses on impact, reduced or limited penetration on harder targets and softer targets, but in exchange they get to explode with a large AoE on that target. Especially for the bolt pistol, lethal proximity feels like a really natural pick for this, but we'll get into that in its own video. They updated the power maul, and it's quite different for Ogryn now, so you guys haven't been forgotten, and it very much so reflects things that I really wanted out of it, I don't know, like 2 years ago. Namely, there's an overhead heavy one after special activation, and it feels very slick. So personally, this is one of my favorite changes, and if you liked the power maul before, I think you will still like it a lot because it's still very much the same weapon, just improved. There have been some moderate changes to the chain weapon damage profiles on the rev attacks. This is to allow them to keep up with some of the changes in the enemies. Speaking of which, certain enemies have seen some health pool increases. We are also seeing some changes to enemies in other ways. If you didn't notice, there's a new one, the Plasma Gunner. The Plasma Gunner is a pretty cool little enemy, and he changes the dynamics of gold toughness a little bit by punching right through it without much of a care. Is this enemy fun or not? Well, it's not engaging in massive volleys of ranged stagger, so I don't think it's unfun to fight against, and I do think it presents a new and interesting challenge. So I guess we'll have to see how he shakes out in the gameplay from now on. I don't think you're going to see him a ton, but he is interesting when he shows up. Also, something to note is that captains can show up in missions at random. And also, and I don't have the full patch notes in front of me at time of recording, so this is based on my observation of the games, but it appears to be the case that timed horrors are back in at least Oryx, if not even lower than that, maybe even heresies. Not sure. I didn't play any heresies, so I'm not certain. The improved enemy health pools apply to a number of different enemies, but most notably Crushers, who also have reduced spawns. They are way tankier, and you're going to really notice it. I do want to add, now that I've had a little bit more time with early access, I'm not certain about this, but it feels to me like Auric is noticeably harder than it was before, and probably because of the enemy changes and the new enemies and this possible indication of new spawn mechanics. It certainly feels like also, and I'm not certain about this is observational, but it looks like the spawn seeds are better, and so you don't get like literal walls of nothing but the same enemy. It seems like it's more common. You might get a patch of that enemy, and you'll get a patch of a different kind of grouping of enemies, and it seems a little bit more balanced. I can't confirm that because, again, I don't have the patch notes in front of me at time of recording here. Also, I would just like to say that, you know, if Auric is hard enough that my duos are starting to feel pretty hard compared to duos and then, you know, quads and solos that I ran literally just, you know, last stream and the stream before, that's a really good sign. That seems to indicate that the classes are both a little bit more powerful, or at least balanced, more flexible for sure, but not radically altering the power level. It certainly doesn't feel anywhere as easy to play an Auric mission right now on Veteran, for example, on any of the builds that I've tried, as it does to play a solo Auric mission that I did not that long ago on Arbites. So we at least haven't become everybody's Arbites, as far as I can tell, unless I'm just making really horrible builds. So So that's a nice overview of the patch and what's in it. And I know everyone's going to try and ask me questions about the meta and so on, and here are my thoughts. I was fairly accurate on Ogryn. He ended up being a little bit more OP than I thought, but I was pretty worried about basically what ended up being called the Ogrynheimer build when he released, and I was fairly correct there. Arbitrage, I was pretty far off base on, and that's a shame. So far I'm like 1-1, which isn't a good record for anticipating the future meta. So I don't want to jump out in front of the meta this time as much as it would be nice for me to be able to tell you. I think we're all just gonna have to figure it out together this time, and we'll see. I'll let you know when I know, and you'll probably know around the same time I do, and then we'll just all talk about it. So for now, I just am really looking forward to this patch because I think it's actually a bit of a banger. It breathes some life back into the game. With that, I'm going to be doing some videos on the weapons and on the talent tree, so keep an eye out for that. Warm regards, everybody. Reginald. I would like to take a moment to provide a special thank you to a Rando Dude and Joseph Davison for being Oathmaker level members, and to Zimisk3 and Fluff. Also a shout out to Vinny for continuing to support my channel whenever I do have time to stream. Hopefully that will pick up again soon. Guys, genuinely, I really appreciate it a lot. It honestly is just so encouraging to have you guys supporting me like that, and it means a lot to me personally. So thank you. I hope to continue to bring you high quality content. I continue to do my best. So take care, and I'll see you around. Thanks so much for visiting, and bye-bye.